My name is Cynthia Sarthou. I'm an executive director of the Gulf Restoration Network. I'm exhilarated by it. I mean, being recognized by your peers is probably the greatest honor you can have, and so I'm really excited by it. Well, right now, of course, we're working on a historical-sized oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, and we are monitoring the activities of both the federal government and BP to ensure that they really do take adequate action to clean up the spill. And we are also working to try to ensure that the federal agencies and Congress take action to ensure that this does not ever happen again. Actually, I'm the founding executive director. I've been with it for 15 years. I actually love the Gulf. I love the water and I love the marine mammals in it. And so my work, I feel gratified by the fact that even if it's only indirectly trying to clean the water that flows into the Gulf, that I'm doing my sort of part to try to ensure that those resources are protected for future generations. Well, I mean, it does several things. One, it brings together like-minded people so that we can actually network and talk to each other about our work and learn from each other. It provides a lot of technical trainings, which most of us can't get in any other setting, so we can come here and learn from the experts on how to make our work stronger. And then there's just the fun aspect of being rejuvenated because you get away and you're with people who are like you and who like to have fun. So, you know, there are three things I think I always love about coming to River Rally. Well, I mean, you know, one is always resources that as nonprofits, we struggle to try to get the resources to do what we can. And in the Gulf right now, that's even greater because we're facing an issue that we were not expecting to face. So we are going to have to try to work with limited resources to do more work than we ever had. And the other challenges are, as usual, just trying to convince people that there is an important resource and that that resource needs protection and that the protection of that resource is in their best interest. Well, I lived through Hurricane Katrina. I evacuated and came back to the Gulf during that time. And we tried to work with communities to ensure that rebuilding of New Orleans and affected communities was done in a more resilient way so that those communities could withstand storm protection. And we work on a campaign called Multiple Lines of Defense, which tries to marry wetlands protection and restoration, which is our greatest natural line of defense in the Gulf Coast, and structural man-made protections to ensure that communities are truly resilient. Well, actually, it was started by a group of environmentalists from across the Gulf of Mexico who felt there was a need for a group that would focus on issues of regional concern, that there were a lot of little groups that were working on their own watershed or their own water body, but they really didn't have the ability to focus on the larger issue, which is the Gulf of Mexico, because we are all residents of the Gulf of Mexico. And so that's why the organization was founded, and I really believed in that mission, and so I joined the organization and have been there ever since. Well, I mean, I think right now what we need is both, you know, the financial support, the communities of that region, but what we also need is the political support. Every individual's action is important. And so if you take action to try to convince a congressman or to convince a local official to do something to help us strengthen regulation of the oil and gas industry, and make sure that the federal agencies in the Gulf and that BP clean up their mess, is helping the citizens. And so we actually have a website, which is bpdrillingdisaster.org. And at that website, you can take action to try to help citizens of the Gulf protect themselves against this type of disaster in the future.